Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerd and nerdettes. Now, when it comes to gaming, there's a lot of things that people prefer or is their favorite part of the game, whether that be the power fantasy of leveling up, whether that be the loot that gets in the game, whether that be the immersive world, the combat, or the story. There's so many different aspects.
The armor.
What? No.
Okay, well, agree to disagree. All I'm saying is if I play the game and the armor is not on point, I don't even bother completing it.
I mean, sure, it's a small part of the game. No, Ranger. The woman in armor, she is right. I only play games where I can wear cool, historically accurate, black leather Viking armor. Like a biker. Trollo, we already had this conversation. The armor and the show Vikings is not historically accurate. Well, I think the History Channel will disagree.
You're saying you know more than a channel called the History Channel.
In my defense, they have a show called Ancient Aliens.
I know, right? I couldn't even believe it. That blew my mind.
Xenos filth.
For the Emperor. For the Emperor.
What were we even talking about?
I'm pretty sure we were talking about cool armor in video games.
I don't think that's right, but sure, let's go ahead and make the anti-glass cannon juggernaut tank archer for Spirggian. So as many of you may know if you follow along, I've been working with Insomnia in order to help bring the game Spirggian to life. Obviously, they're doing all the smart, important stuff. I'm just helping consultation with Warbow archers. But we are nearing the finish line. They're actually be premiering the game at gamescon in Germany, August 20th to 24th. They have a booth. And so we're kind of getting to the point where they were asking me about leveling up the character, setting up armor types from start to end game, and how that would look character progression to kind of show the tank archer class that we're trying to create as opposed to the stealth archer. As you know, when you play Skyrim, Oblivion, stealth archer is key. Elden Ring archery kind of just sucks anyways. In Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, it's you can do it if you get really good and have patience and get the Dollmaker potion, I think, the poison, or Dollmaker poison. That makes it a lot easier near, the end of the game and everything. But we are trying to build a very specific type of archer, one that requires strength to use heavy duty bows, and also one that can carry a lot of armor because of the strength stat requirement for that. So we're going to go ahead, level up our character starting from level 1 entry class all the way up to end game.
The way we're going to do this is I have my little character creator screen here, let's say. I'm going to run through different variations of the class, basically level 1 through the top level, mid-tier, etc., and go over what that would look like for me, and also having that fantastical element to it that's included in all video games. So to start, level 1 is going to be very similar to this. It's going to be cloth, clothing, tunic, just basically you found it on the ground, that's what you're running around with. So you're still going to be very much a glass cannon at that stage, but you're going to have flexibility, you're going to move around, and so we're going to start there, take that out into the field, test it out a little bit, and then from there we're going to continue the progression.
So level 1, I feel like a tunic and pants are just going to be the way to go. It has to be sleeveless, of course, because they said they really want that personalized dash flare, so you got to have no sleeves, and I think probably some chest hair if they can program that in. Chest hair guys, get on that. But this is going to be the start, and we're going here with a 130-pound bow. So again, range of motion is going to be great for this. You're going to have no defense, so you are going to be a glass cannon at that point. That's going to be our starting point for the game, and then as things progress, we're going to start to go ahead and level that up.
Next, we're progressing to level 2, let's say, and that's going to be a padded gambeson. With that, I'm going to include the steel shoulder pauldrons as well, because I think that gives it a fuller look than just the arm sleeves as well. So I kind of like that as a bit of a fantastical look. You can take some damage as you're wearing that. It's going to absorb a lot of those slashes to make sure they're not lethal as they go into you. It's not going to do anything against thrusts naturally, but it can diffuse some of that impact. So what could be a lethal blow may just be something that wounds you, but it's not going to be as damaging, especially with swords and slashings and things like that. So it's going to help out, and it's going to be that next level and we're going to be functionally able to use that.
So if you followed this channel for any amount of time, you've seen that when I do the sword test and the axe test, I do put the bone behind this with the synthetic skin and stuff that I use as well, and it does help dissipate those cuts. So it's obviously not going to be top tier, but I do think it's a good next level because everything that progresses past that is going to be based on this as the base layer. So when you get mail, this is going to complement the mail. When you get brigandine, it's going to complement the brigandine. When you get plate, you'd use an arming coat most likely, but the same principle is there. You have that strong base layer to build off of, and it's going to be that next step for our heavy warbow archer build. And so this, of course, is not going to disrupt your range of motion at all. Still going to be easy to loose an arrow, still going to be easy to move around in. So this would be a great kind of bridge as you start to get a little more defense, but you're not getting to that high level where you actually have mail or plate or brigandine. Well, as always, I got a little greedy with the headshots. That last one kind of came off weird, so it had that angle, so when it hit, just snapped and exploded. And that's one arrow down. Ah, dang. But we persevere.
As we move on from there, the next big level and the next big jump is going to be riveted mail. Riveted flat mail is going to be the best kind you're going to get, and I feel like that is going to be paired with the padded gambeson. So just like anything, I feel like the progression should be like you're stacking armors on top of itself, not necessarily just jumping from one thing straight to the other. It should be a slow build. So as you master level 2, you're able to acquire mail, and that's going to be added to the padded gambeson as it was done historically. So you're able to fill that roster out of your inventory a little bit more, but also kind of have it make sense as you're progressing, because at first you start low, then you get one set, but that next set you get adds on to that. And so it's stacking that continuously to give it a more organic feel as you're mastering each of the armor levels, and also as you're staying more fluid and functional. Now, I've done mail in the past, but I've destroyed that, unfortunately, so I can't show you a video of me testing that necessarily, but you still can move well on that. And that was a super common armor for archers, and that's really gonna jump up that defense a substantial amount. It's gonna slow you down, but again, we're not building a stealth archer, we are building a strength-based archer. In the continuation of that principle of stacking armors, the next thing that would make sense to go on top of that would be brigandine. So if you're not familiar with that, it is overlapping steel plates with like a cloth covering on the front of it. And so archers would wear that, ones who were more successful in campaigns or were able to afford it. It was a great versatile option for an archer because you could still move in it. The overlapping steel plates weren't as rigid as plate. I would say in addition to that at that point you can start introducing some of the plate armor. I would say getting the legs on at that point would pair well. So at that level you're going to have the padded gambeson, the mail, the brigandine, and on your legs you're going to have plate legs. The only thing you're not really going to be using for sure is going to be vambraces or, you know, the gauntlets.
So now we're getting a little closer to the end game. We're going to start introducing a little more plate for our character. I think that would be a good natural progression. So what I have here is, of course, the padded gambeson. We would be chainmail with it. I just don't have that, unfortunately. On top of that, I have the brigandine, which is overlapping steel plates. Then I have my plate leggings as well, because like I said, in this game, the idea is not going to be a stealth archer. You're going to have 160, 170, 180 pound bow. You're going to need all the body mass, all your muscle to use it. You're going to be able to take some damage so you can kind of stay in the trenches a little bit longer, lob some arrows down range, and then be able to do some serious work from afar. And then also if they get in close, you got a little bit of protection, or a lot of protection. And so for proof of concept on this design, I have my larger 160 pound warbow here. I want to make sure I get a good range of motion. I'm able to loose that arrow, and then I'm going to check and see how I do accuracy wise as well. I think it limits it a little bit, but more it's the pauldrons than anything. So that's kind of stopping me from getting that full draw there, but still it can be done. Just it's a little short. Stay away from the headshots this time. arrow to the knee because it has to be done. Can't be a video game without an arrow to the knee. So it really doesn't disrupt the aiming at all, I would be inclined to say. There's no real problem with all this get up on as well. So definitely a usable armor set for our tank archer. Not too far off historically as well, as this was used in, I think, the 16th century archers in history as well. But definitely a good step up from the previous level.
And then for the final step of our Juggernaut strength-based archer, we are going with plate. So I have a set of plate armor. It's 16 gauge cold rolled steel from Arm Street. It has been measured to me, so I actually had them take my measurements. They made that and sent that to me. I bring it out occasionally because it is a nice suit of armor, and when I bring it out, I always have to clean it afterwards and everything like that. So I tend to take very good care of it. But what I want to do is see how I can make that work for an archer, how much I can have on, what I need to take off to make it so it's feasible, but also has that feel of fantasy element to it, where you could see realistically an archer who's strong could still use this, but it's not going to be as practical. So we're going to break that down. This is going to be like one of the longer segments as I'm running through that armor and kind of fine-tuning what would work in reality while also keeping it kind of in a bit of a fantastical world.
So as I'm working with Insomnia Development to kind of toe the line between fantasy and realism, one of the biggest things that comes up frequently is whether it be Kingdom Come Deliverance, Skyrim, Oblivion, Elden Ring, any of the Souls games, is the ability to fire a bow, or loose a bow rather, in full plate armor. The first thing that's going to have to go is gauntlets, because to me that's just an obvious no. Like, you can't really use a bow well with the gauntlet on the hand. It's going to get in the way upon the release. And I've tried it here before. If you have a shorter gauntlet, it can help with the release, but the problem is that with this one here, the string's going to hit and it's going to cause a problem. So it's going to disrupt your arrow as you loose it to be a bit of a problem. The second thing is, with this armor, is the gorget. I mean, this is almost more of a bevor, but it's going to limit my range of motion from my head as I turn. So these are more fantastical in nature. It's got those large predominant sword breaks on there on the pauldrons. So this type of armor here is not super well articulated. It can articulate a bit, but not as good as well-made plate. But even so, if you have something like this, which is common in Oblivion and other games, it's really going to give you a hard time with that draw, especially right there. As I come up, when I lift, that gorget is going to push into my head. Sorry, I can't put these on by myself, so that's a little loose anyways, but that's going to cause disruption in my aim, and that's going to cause disruption when I draw. Even if I come here, it's going to be a low draw, and I'm not going to be able to get the strength. This is the 130, so it's on the lighter end, but even with that there, just coming this way, that's about as far as I can get it with this full setup here. So the important thing is that we want to keep showing progress. So this is going to be like the end game archer build. So what are some things we can use and what are some things to get rid of? We're going to keep the breastplate, and we're going to keep the plankard. I'm going to get a padded gambeson underneath it. I'm going to remove the tassets because there's no real reason for an archer to have those. That's just extra weight, I would feel, even for a heavy duty archer. I'm going to put some legs on, and we're going to go from there as like our end game build. So here we are at a much more functional end game for an archer. We have our plate leggings here. I've done away with the vambraces and the gorget. I have pauldrons on, but they're a lot smaller. I have my cuirass, the breastplate, and the plankard as well. So I'm still relatively functional and mobile in this, and I feel I can get a pretty good draw with it as well. So I'm going to try that out and see how I can do with this get up on. End game archer, 130 pound bow, so we're still on the heavier side. I'll maybe try the 160 later, but we'll just start off with this here. Yeah, it's good. I feel like I was a little interrupted in there. I got to kind of figure out a better way to loose it, but kind of interrupted that draw. But this is definitely something, if you're a heavy tank, anti-glass archer, this is good. Much better. Okay, that was much better right there. So just a couple shots to get the hang of it, and then you're golden. So one thing I haven't done in this is try to actually hit a target. And this is only like 15 yards away maybe. But I'm gonna see if I can hit a target, and all this get up, it's gonna throw things off dramatically from just that close of a distance. If it's feasible to kind of roll with this much armor in an archer build. Yeah, I mean, it's doable. It's not that bad, not that different. I still have a good range of motion here. Just this needs to be pushed in a little more, and that's just because I don't have the straps on all the way. But this is certainly within that realm of, let's say end game is solid for this. So naturally, being a heavier archer, he's going to get into more scraps than, let's say, a lighter ranger class would, which is why, as opposed to a normal ranger who would have something like a sax knife to be able to do survival and wilderness and fend off enemies periodically, he's gonna need something a bit heavier duty. So we've been talking quite a bit back and forth, and they were asking me what weapon I would like in the game as a sidearm. And so what we settled on, of course, is probably my personal favorite, which is going to be the Warhammer. So this is a heavier Warhammer than a lot more. This is about 3.5 pounds. Most of the lighter Warhammers are like a pound to a pound and a half. But the idea is, again, you just want to signify or relay the strength of the character. So single-handedly wielding something like this that's about 3.5 pounds is going to be awesome for our extremely strong archer. It can still be carried very easily as well. There's little maintenance to it, opposed to like a sword, where it's really only going to be very useful if you have a sharp sword or you constantly tend and care for it. This is going to be devastating no matter what. So if you're not able to take someone out with your bow and they get up close and they have plate, or it's just a large enemy with a big health pool, this is going to do great blunt damage and pierce damage as well. So no slashing, of course, but you're gonna be able to hold your own against those stronger armored opponents. The one thing they sent to me that they said I could share, but just make sure to preface it that this doesn't have the 3D modeling in. This is just a tech demo of the archery system. This is an under-leveled character, so it's a mage character, so they're not built or equipped with strength to use the bow. You can see the character really struggle to pull that back and shake almost immediately as they get it to a fuller draw. So it really is, if you're not spec'd out or built for that class, you're not gonna be able to utilize a heavy bow in that game. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this more in-depth armor breakdown. I did an archery breakdown video a while ago where we went over the archery system, the arrowheads, and how that's gonna work. You can check that one out over here. Like I said, they're gonna be at gamescon August 20th to the 24th. They invited me to go. But I would have to like pay for my flight. You know, it's a small studio, super cool guys. I'm not gonna ask or be greedy or anything. So I may try to make it there. There's no guarantee. It's a big trip and I have a family, but it would be really fun to go and meet with them in person as well. So maybe that'll happen, maybe not, I'm not sure. However, if you are interested in the game, go check them out on Steam. You can wish list it. I think they said the more wish lists they get, they tend to get more support from like backers and things like that. Just kind of help them create their dream project. It's been a joy working with them. I've been loving to be able to share my passions and they share their passions with me. So it's like this great little melding of two different sides of the nerd spectrum, so to speak. You have the developers and the smart people, and then you have me, Sir Gaines, out here just swinging stuff around and shooting heavy bows. We've been able to work together to try to create something special and unique for something we're both very passionate about, which is gaming. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next Saturday, which is the new posting schedule. So every Saturday at 9:00 a.m. I will be uploading the new videos, and I hope you have a great weekend.